Olympic abuse scandal, a strange twist. Why is the U.S. Olympic Agency meant to stop sexual abuse investigating its top critic? Center for SafeSport is supposed to investigate alleged abusers. But no one has accused Jonathan Little of a crime. This is a tale full of Kafkaesque twists about the efforts of the U.S. Olympic Committee, USOC, and its affiliated national sport governing bodies, NGBs, to make it look as if they're doing something about their sexual abuse problem. It's also a story that gets pretty deep in the weeds and one that bumps up against a basic reality. Although many millions of viewers watch the Summer and Winter Olympics and debate the internal or international drama hyped up by multi-billion-dollar broadcast rights holder NBC, very few of them know or care anything about USOC's Lords of the Rings or their apparatchiks' day-to-day operations, far from the flag-waving captured on TV. One effect of that is near-total public indifference toward the exploitation of local age group clubs as faux community-based programs for youth athletes. This is especially true in swimming, where the main purpose of the clubs, from an Olympics perspective, is to serve as precincts for development of the next generation of gold medalists. It's a PR bonus that the accompanying after-school practices and weekend meets are staples of feel-good Americana. This system offers many incentives that contribute to opportunities for widespread abuse of underage athletes. These clubs enjoy subsidies in two forms. First, high school, community college and recreation center swimming pools are rented at below-cost rates. Second, parents contribute volunteer labor as officials, timers and concession stand operators. Badminton, of course, is not nearly as popular a sport as swimming, and its athlete age level skews higher. But a new scenario involving an attorney employed by USA Badminton, Jonathan Little, illustrates the dysfunctions and at times the desperation of the American branch of the Olympic movement on the abuse issue. The story involves a complaint against Little by the U.S. Center for SafeSport, USOC's de facto internal affairs division. If it goes adversely, Little could be banned from organized sports in this country. To be absolutely clear, no one at SafeSport, or anyone anywhere else, alleges that Little has ever sexually harassed or abused anyone. This isn't about that. Indeed, you could almost say this is the opposite of that. Little is one of the country's leading advocates on behalf of victims of coach sexual abuse in youth sports. Now 41, Little is a former collegiate runner who competed in the 2008 Olympic trials in the marathon. He still dabbles in independent coaching and consulting for aspiring Olympians. What's happening to him now can perhaps best be understood as a case of classic retaliation by SafeSport. It's not entirely unlike the extreme IRS audits of former FBI Director James Comey and Acting Director Andrew McCabe that were ordered under the Trump administration, except that the Olympic Agency's harassment of this particular persistent critic is actually even worse. At least Comey and McCabe were under investigation for possible tax fraud, albeit without probable cause and with apparent corrupt intention, which is undeniably the portfolio of the IRS. The Little case amounts to nothing more than a conceptual disagreement between SafeSport and activists on behalf of youth athlete safety, a disagreement going straight to questions about the agency's fundamental legitimacy and efficacy. Little is not a member of USA Badminton or any other NGB, and as stated above has never been accused of any sexual misconduct. Instead, thanks to the power vested in it by a vaguely organized nonprofit that was vaguely codified in 2018 revisions of an act of Congress, the SafeSport Center is seeking to bust him for violating its procedures. What is Little's alleged crime? He routinely counsels young athletes who say they've been abused not to waste their time filing complaints with SafeSport, telling them instead to go directly to law enforcement. As we'll see, given the history and practices of both the SafeSport Center and the SafeSport departments of the affiliated NGBs, this seems to be good advice. The U.S. Center for SafeSport did not respond to Salon's request for comment for this story. Little himself says the following: calling SafeSport about a coach committing abuse is like calling the Vatican to report a priest. What you have to understand is that SafeSport exists to limit the criminal liability of USOC and the NGBs. Its purpose is not to protect youth athletes. There is nothing to see here, as they say, except for SafeSport's whine that little, along the way, has contested the need to follow federal reporting requirements. By federal reporting requirements, they mean playing ball SafeSport's way. But in fact, SafeSport is just an administrative agency with no legal teeth. There's only one group or entity anyone is required to notify of sexual abuse allegations, on pain of prosecutorial consequences. That would be the cops. Little says that within the last 4 years, SafeSport, in one case, alerted a perpetrator prior to the law enforcement authorities getting organized and executing a warrant. In another case, SafeSport gave cops inaccurate information about an accused abuser's sexual encounter with a teenager, falsely saying that the victim was above the age of consent. In yet another case involving a prominent coach who did not report abuse, SafeSport stonewalled police and refused to comply with a subpoena.